Hello, everybody. Brian here at quantlabs.net. This video, my prior video was supposed to be about this, but I usually go world famously off topic. So I want to talk about specifically the Django versus JavaScript and the support for either VS Code versus Visual Studio. Now, I've been on this for the last 3 weeks about JavaScript. I can't say if JavaScript is good or bad, but when it's bad, it's bad. React is like that. The frameworks are completely nutty. It just feels like a lot of the packages or whatever they call them on React don't play nice together. Things blow up. They're just not properly managed. There's no standards, like a Wild West. But there are proper, properly coded up JavaScript libraries. I bought one for a dashboard to pretty up whatever I decide to do. Now, in terms of JavaScript, and I've looked at Node, that looks pretty useful. But I'm used to Python. And when you look at the Django versus the Django, I find Django's light years ahead of JavaScript in terms of building a code base from. And with the code base in Django, which is pretty well tightly standardized within the framework of Django, it's hard to go off trail, we'll call it. Now, you can with JavaScript and having a ability to have your Django code call in reference to other JavaScript libraries. And then there's HTML involved and CSS as well. So that's possible, and that's where the haywire can probably set in using Django. I'm way too early to know this, and I'm sure Django has some technical ways of blowing itself up by badly coding it, but so far it's just easier to lump. Okay, so that's fine. Now, when it comes to your deployment, I do know being on Mac, it's somewhat limited. I went through a survey from JetBrains, and most people are either on Windows or Linux. Here's the thing. I never was, for a while I was a Windows fan. Then I went to Mac for a good number of years, 10 years. Then I got tired of Mac and the surveillance and the overprice of Apple product. And I went to Linux, and then a new laptop was needed. Then I went and got Windows about 2 years ago. So I've been with Windows 11 for about 2, 3 years now. And when I look at everything, I think the best option is Windows with the Windows subsystem Linux. So I've got that set up. So how it works is if you are a Linux person, your real option in terms of IDE outside of JetBrains, the PyCharm, you want to pay for that, go for it, or VS Code. Now, VS Code is not a full out of box IDE. It's free. You can make it like an IDE if you know what you're doing. But if you're like me, trying to learn a framework like Django, um, it can be pretty daunting with all the coding and making sure all the coding's lined up properly and get it working. That's with Django. Now imagine trying to do that with JavaScript. So if you're on Windows, want to quickly learn Django, I would strongly recommend you go to Visual Studio Community Edition, free. You can uh, build out Django projects in Python out of box. Push a couple of buttons and there's your project. Don't have to worry about and the code project in Django is a lot more feature rich than what you usually see with just one page. With the one within Visual Studio, you get a lot more. You get a menu navigation system. You get some sample data in the default SQLite database. You have the navigation. You can learn from that within that code base and learn all the connectivity between all the HTML, JavaScript, and the Python code within this default Django project. That's the fastest way to learn outside of reading a book. I put up a book 20 years ago, but learn it from that. And then when you want to learn the coding fast, and how it's properly done, I'd probably recommend go with the Visual Studio and build your first default project from there. And then when you look at how to build a navigation within Django and how it's all interrelated, and same with the database and all that, it's all there. It's all built out for you properly. As I said, just pushing a couple of buttons. So once you get comfortable with that, what you can do is you can start adding in your custom Django packages that you find typically um, on GitHub. I think there's Django packages.com, I think it is. PyPy, there's still quite a few. Here's the thing. It's now December 15th, 2023. Last week, Django 5 just came out. 5.0, meaning full of bugs. So you're trying to learn that, fine with the coded up uh, default project in Visual Studio. I think you're obviously fine. Once you start adding in new projects that are from older versions of Django, no one can guarantee that they'll work, they'll break, there may be bugs. I don't know if there are bugs within that project itself or there's bugs from the 5.0 because it's compatibility, who knows? So you're not really going to go very far with that. So, but still, you want to learn from an old library like 3.7 of Django. I think is the default in the current edition of Visual Studio, but I upgraded to 5.0. But be aware of that. I'm just trying to give you a better, quick start path to using Django. Okay, so there's that. Okay, that's the tech side. Let's talk about what I researched on the career. So right now, when it comes to the world of Python, you have basically three career paths to choose. You have data science, AI, and web development. Those are pretty well the standard in-demand jobs right across the board, out of the popular stuff. I mean, there's the specialty niche like using C++ to build an HFT system. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the three paths I just mentioned. Now, those are the most popular out there and most in demand. So for me, I'm going with web development. Why? Because web development's the most popular. Okay, I'm not saying that's where I'm going to end up or stay. But if you want to get up and running and get a potential career job, I'd start with the web development. That's the easiest. From there, build your own website, your own hobby site, whatever it is. And you're into knitting or selling socks or I don't know, clot, whatever. Build a website for it in Django. Add in e-commerce and just build it. Because what recruiters are now looking for are beyond just resume interview. Okay. Especially the newer up and coming startups, the unicorns, especially. From what I'm seeing, you need to have an online website with all like as a portfolio, no different than an artist, no different than um, whatever. Okay, because this is the direction we're going, especially in AI, and all the coders are going to get replaced potentially. So you need to have an online resume showing what you've done and on what. If it's a website, showcase that. Um, that's important because I've seen that a lot in jobs asking for that. Now, it doesn't stop there. They also ask you for your GitHub repository, your own, not one that you fork, some code that you built that people use. So as it stands right now, um, that's the three things you'll need to get proper jobs because companies do not hire people anymore. Companies hire brands. So you got to build yourself up as a coder to be a brand. So outside of that, you want to quickly go into a lucrative career path of IT and software development. This is what you got to do if you go into web development. Now, once you've built that out, then you can go into wherever, data analytics or AI, because it's more advanced. But you should start in web development. That's standard. And it's the most in demand as well. You have no different in what you need as a um, candidate for jobs. You still need your online portfolio, meaning your own website with all your skills on top of what you built and showcased in that website. Plus, you still need your repository on GitHub. So those three things you need. You can add all the little badges you want of knowing this tool thing and that tool thing from LinkedIn on your resume. Doesn't mean anything now. I mean, just look at the number of people that are getting laid off in jobs. So that's the sort of thing you need. Now, the top three, probably most popular, probably top four in demand based upon these JetBrain surveys for 2022 was JavaScript, the Django, and uh, we'll just leave it. And well, supposedly HTML, CSS. Those are the top three. So that is what you need. If you're going into management, you definitely got to have that because a lot of employers will expect you to and um, code and um, basically manage as well in a career path. Okay, so that's the best tips I can give you in today's modern era of jobs. Now, in terms of where we're going with native apps versus the general mobile friendly websites, I think native apps are going to die. Okay, people are tired of downloading them. People are getting tired of being tracked via them. So I'm seeing three companies now that have dumped uh, their their support for apps, native apps, because it's another staff that they got to maintain to maintain these apps outside of their website. So a lot of companies are just cutting those resources and just maintaining one code base, their website, which is mobile friendly and specifically mobile friendly as well from one code base. That's what I'm seeing, and it's easier for them to manage. So that's a trend I'm seeing, and I think that's moving forward. It's all done through the browser, not through a native app here, a native app there. Okay, on Android or iOS. Um, that's what I'm seeing, and I think that's what the trend is. Now, the cool thing about having your own Django, let's say, website being in Python, you can still bring in your AI code, your data analytics, data science code in the same code base, because usually that's headless, and present it through your interface, which is going to be through a browser. Even some of the leading trading shops are using browsers now as opposed to desktop because now they can run that same app no longer on just a computer desktop. That can run the same ad or same app on an iPad or a tablet and a phone. So it's all unified, which makes sense, right? And that's another big advantage. So when you have all of everything in one app through a browser as the interface, you can do a lot of magic all in one app, not having like three different code bases, one for your app and one for your desktop app and across three different OSs. I just don't see that happening. That's what I'm doing with my website, one app. And because everything's now in Python through Django and all my current scripts I'm using to feed the data that I put up privately, I don't have to change that. So these are the big advantages with Django. And Flask, I think, is the same. It's just Django, from what I understand, is better for a general website. Flask is more built for apps, or sorry, API. An API, I was gonna get into, but I just don't think it's needed now because everything's gonna be done through a website and through a database as the source, not through an app. I'm not getting into providing API support. Not yet, but I prefer to do it through a web app and a mobile app through the web. That's my focus. And as I said earlier in a previous video I put up today, I want to get rid of as many third party sites, third party components as possible, and just unify in one with my own code base and using Django packages. So that's my goal, and make it focused across the board for all my users instead of being on Substack and the like. That's the idea. And then unify it through the one web app delivered through browser. That's pretty well where I'm going. So that's the general I'm seeing with Django. I've already talked about the tips if you're learning like myself and where things are going to go. The other big advantage is with the AI um, is the AI is that you can take the same AI framework, be it Chat GPT, Bard, and I think the big winner will come out of this is going to be the Llama. From what I'm seeing, as I said, you want to get rid of as many third-party dependencies as possible. Whereas Llama enables you through open source and be able to download your own LLM, large language model, based upon these different topics. Now, again, I'm not advanced on that, but again, that's a huge advantage from that. Because as I said, you want to get rid of as much third-party dependencies. I mean, this is what I learned from many high, uh, high achievers when it comes to those that are programming and building out funds. But I'm to that point now, probably 5, 10 years later. I got caught up just like a lot of other people in the trend of you know social media and all that crap now. Anyways, so I'll be still posting on YouTube. YouTube's still okay to get email opt-ins, and the big one for me that I should have mentioned in the last video is SEO, because SEO is the one that drives a lot of traffic. Organic traffic is from SEO. I mentioned that other video about a lot of user-generated code or user-generated content. Instead of myself put stuff up, it's user, and it's going to have to be um, go through like a administration approval process, because believe me, a lot of people do spamming badly on wherever they can spam, they will do it. I just got one on TradingView yesterday, first time in 6 months, which I thought I'd never see. I've run Telegram groups, and it's just spam and garbage you just don't want. So will have to have a pre-approval for content, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But give it the opportunity. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up now. Thanks for watching. I'm hoping to post a bunch of other before Christmas, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.